Afternoon, Adam. Obviously, your guys' focus is quite narrow, but what's going to take to try to narrow the gap in the standings between you guys and Toronto this week with this three-game set?
Well, I think obviously win the games, but it's going to be important you contain their speed. They're a terrific transition team. They feast off turnovers, and they've got some real high end talent up front. So it's going to be important that we try and get some zone time on them. Try and limit the free chances that they get. Just by careless plays by us. So it's managing the puck properly and staying out of the box. They have a lethal power play as well.
We'll go next to Paul Friesen from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, Adam, Paul Stastny was asked, why it's so easy to get lured into a run and gun game. And he says when you've got young and stubborn forwards, that can happen. Is your team mature and unstubborn enough to avoid that?
Yeah, I think for the most part, we've done a good job of trying to stick to our style and, play a game that, we're successful with. Obviously, we have some forwards up front that are very dangerous off the rush and kind of thrive in some of those games. But I think for the most part, we don't want to get into that style. So, we're constantly talking about, playing to our identity, playing to our team's strengths. And I think that's going to be important here in this three-game set.
We'll go next to Carter Brooks from Game On. Go ahead, Carter.
Hey, Adam. You've been a very consistent face-off player, taking the draws over the past number of years in the NHL. Since Paul's arrival the second time around and Pierre-Luc coming in, has there been some teaching moments either from you to them to you over the span of that time? And also, secondly, how important is the face-off game going to be against a team like Toronto?
Yeah, I think adding Tomer into that group as well, he's also been a guy that over his career has been extremely successful. I think, you're talking to Stats, he's got so much knowledge of the game. He kind of has so much wisdom, with different aspects that, I find we take draws kind of similarly. We use, pretty brick-like sticks that, give us an advantage in the circle and, a disadvantage in some other areas of the game. But I think that's been an area that, we're constantly trying to improve and, constantly you're talking to those guys, seeing what they're doing, what's been working for them in the circle. And, what hasn't been, if you're struggling a little bit, they've got some tweaks. If you see them kind of struggling a little bit or, with losing to a certain guy a certain way, maybe you impart a little bit of your wisdom on, ways you've been successful, able to get inside of them. And, against Toronto, they're one of those teams that they put their centermen in situations where they're generally on their strong side. I think you look at the percentages some of those guys have, and it's not a lot of weak side draws they take. It's mostly in areas where they're going to succeed. So it's important that especially in the D zone, you're bearing down and you're making it hard. If you're going to lose it, it's not going to be clean. You don't want to give them any easy chances kind of off that. And, you can get possession, a little zone time in there. And too, it's important.
We'll go next to Kelly Moore from CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Hey, Adam. I know it's been almost 2 months and 22 games since you played Toronto, but are there one or two things that this hockey club has really improved at in that time frame that would also be applicable to this upcoming 3-game series in particular?
Yeah, I think looking back to that first game in here, we didn't play very good, and I think we're a lot better team than kind of what we showed. We're getting a lot closer to the identity and the way we want to play, and that's big, that's fast, and kind of imposing our will, and that's controlling the puck and playing with pace. So that's going to be something we try and do. Obviously the Leafs are rolling. They've lost a couple, but they've had a great start to the year, and we know it's going to be a tough test for us, and we're looking forward to it. So it's going to be a fun 3-game set.
We'll go next to Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Adam, I know the message after Saturday's game was to just move on this one as soon as possible. How much do you let a little bit of that linger into this game, maybe some of the animosity or some of that feeling at the end? And what are you expecting from the Leafs? As you mentioned, they've been rolling this year, but are coming off a rare 2 losses in a row, just setting up what seems to be 2 grumpy teams.
Yeah, you know, I think last game is kind of one of those ones you park it. You're not really going to bring anything from that. I think, you know, it's more you look at the stretch of hockey we played and how we've been successful. And you kind of think back to what we did and what areas we did well in to find that success. So just try and get back to those things. You know, it seemed like some bad bounces, and obviously it was definitely not our A game the other night. So you know, you kind of leave that one there, and you come to the rink in the morning feeling good and knowing that you don't want to lose two in a row. And we know they're in kind of that same hole. They've lost a couple games, and they're going to want to get back on the right foot. So it's important about getting off to a good start and getting back to kind of that way. You know, if we can kind of get a similar start to the one we had 2 games ago in Montreal, where, you know, it seemed like lines 1 through 4, those first few shifts, we were really buzzing. You know, I thought that was a great first period for us. So, you know, something like that, I think, you know, gets the good feeling back in the room.
And final question to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weaver.
Adam, you touched on Paul Stastny. How would you describe the impact and influence he's had on your group in the second tour of duty here so far?
Yeah, he's been great. I think, you know, he's one of those guys who's so personable, and, you know, he's so easygoing, and he's got so much knowledge for the game that, you know, there's little things that, you know, he tells you, and you're like, wow, I didn't even really think about that. And but you see kind of what's made him such a good player, what made him such a good pro, the way he takes care of himself off the ice, and, you know, the way he kind of interacts with everyone, and, you know, he's the way he is on the ice. He compliments whoever he's playing with, and seems to bring out the best in them, whether, you know, he's playing down the middle or now lately in the wing. And you kind of see these little plays, and, you know, they might go unnoticed, but you know, chances are it's creating a lot of success for his line. So, you know, it's been great having him back. You know, we're real happy that he's in Winnipeg.